Hello, welcome to my newly discovered corner of my apartment. I recently did some spring cleaning and I discovered that this corner of my bedroom is actually really nice. It's right by the window so I get direct sun exposure. And I'm kind of just like a cat, like I gravitate towards sunlight and I just feel like I'm more productive and more creative when I'm warm. But anyways, what I wanted to show you is my design journey as it happens. Usually when I film this portion of my video, it's more of a reflection of the design process after it's already been done. But in this case, I have no idea what my makeup bag is gonna look like. So I wanted to bring you guys along on that journey and show you what it's like for me in real time. In terms of constraints for my makeup bag, all I know right now is that I need it to fit in my eyeshadow palettes. These are the two that I use the most. It's the Narcissus and the Tartelette palette. But I also do want to be able to fit these larger ones because they have some cooler tones like some blues and greens. And then the other considerations I have are just some smaller items like my eyelash curler, some brushes, and mascara. I've been using this makeup bag for 4 years now and it's served me pretty well, but I have two complaints. The first one being that this zipper design makes it really hard sometimes to fish around for my smaller items like my tweezers, and it just kind of adds time to my routine if I have to be constantly looking for stuff. Or I could dump it out, but that's just a different pain in the ass. And then the other reason that I want to replace it is just that it's getting old, it has some gunk here, and it was also made out of polyurethane, so it's starting to peel and it just doesn't look very nice. Now in terms of my new makeup bag design, I really have no idea what I want it to look like yet. But I have really been liking the color green and I've collected 3 or 4 really nice, rich, deep shades of green that I think would be cool if I did like a patchwork combination of all of them in one bag. So we'll see if that ends up happening, but that's just sort of what I have in mind right now. And then this is where it really starts. I have my iPad open to Pinterest and I've started a board called Makeup Bag. So I'm just gonna scroll through and expose myself to some other form factors and ideas. I really want it to be highly functional for myself. So I want it to be able to open up so that I can see all of my tools without having to fish around. I think that's my #1 design priority. This is what I have so far in my board, so I'm just gonna show you some of the ideas that are jumping out at me. I like this. I like that it looks like a purse. It doesn't really look like a makeup bag, and that's kind of what I'm going for. I just want it to look as nice as possible too. I think this idea is cool that it has this flat thing underneath. I can see myself putting my eyeshadow palettes in there and then everything else can go in this top bay. As I was editing this, I realized that the audio is super unbearably bad and I didn't want to put you through that. But all I'm really saying here is that I went to the park because it was a really nice day and I decided to design my bag. So I really like this idea of having it lie flat and then you can open it out entirely, but I think it looks kind of dorky. I also really like this rough patchwork idea. I like this green. And then based on those ideas, I drew up 2 ideas so far. This one is more like that first one, but I'm trying to make it look a little bit better. This one is also like flat, open up, but a little bit more round. I'm back at home now and I realized that I'm not really feeling those 2 ideas that I drew up in the park, and let me explain why. So this first idea I think would look nice in theory, but I think it would be better as like a jewelry box or something that definitely has to have more structure. But what I want to do with mine is have it be pretty floppy so that I can sort of like stuff it into my suitcase. And then this one here, I think it looks pretty cool, but the more I look at it, it really reminds me of those pencil cases that everyone had in elementary school. So this is the third idea, which is very similar to one that I saw on Pinterest, but I want to go with different shades of green, and I also want to play with adding this braid down this diagonal. So I think I'm going to try to now figure out what the individual pieces are and then hopefully start cutting pretty soon. Now that I've got all of my paper pieces cut out, I'm going to start sticking them together to see if this works. I just finished taping it. I don't know if I just did a bad job of cutting it, but it looks kind of wonky. I'm just going to try to probably mess around with the shape so it looks a bit more elegant. It looks kind of blobular. I just made a few more prototypes. This was the first one that I wasn't very happy with because it just looks like shit. And then this one was kind of okay, but I don't like how asymmetrical the hex is. So then I made this one, and then I tried to put all of my stuff in there, including this largest palette, but it was kind of tight, so I made a bigger version of it, except this one just looks unreasonably big. It makes me look like I am a makeup artist for a living. So I think I'm going to stick with this one, and then I realized I don't really use this one that much, so if I ever want to travel with it, I'll just like cram it in or fit it in separately. But I just did a test to make sure that all of this stuff fits, and it looks pretty good. I just got my Amazon delivery. I got a ton of different zippers because I don't really know what length I need, so I just got like all of them. I just did a super rough length measurement of these 3 sides to figure out what zipper length I need, and it's coming out to 13. I have a 12 and a 14 and a 16, so I think I'm just gonna go with the 14 and return the rest. I just went on a hysterical rampage because I was trying to put together all of the green leathers that I own to pick out which ones I want to cut, and I couldn't find my leftover from this green ottoman. I looked literally everywhere. Flipped the whole house upside down. This is what it looks like. So usually I keep my leathers in here or rolled up underneath my bed. I just pulled everything out, couldn't find it. Looked under my bed, but then I realized I have this whole entire roll and rediscovered this really nice brown leather too. But here it is. I'm gonna take apart my paper prototype and use each piece as a template for cutting onto the leather. And while I do that, I'm also gonna add a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance on all of the edges that are touching another piece. I just finished cutting out all of the pieces, so I have the 3 dark green ones for the side and the bottom, and then the medium green is here and the light green here. I think what makes sense to do next is sew these 2 together. I'm gonna overlap it like that. Sew them together and then do the braid that runs across that diagonal. Alrighty, I just finished sewing up both of these front panels, and now I'm gonna do the lace up braid bit. So I have to punch some holes and then lace it up. Woo! Okay, I just did 4 long strips, 2 per side. I initially thought that I was gonna use the leathery side facing up like this, but I actually kind of like the suede side. It has a richer color, and this isn't meant to be used for suede, but because it's so skinny, I think I can get away with it. Here it is. I'm super happy with this. I like this suede texture. I think it gives it more character than if it were to be the leather side. So I think I'm gonna do this on the other side, but I also kind of wish that I could see what it would look like if I flipped it. My curiosity got the better of me, so I ended up doing this second panel with the leather side facing up, and I think it looks pretty cool. I don't think it looks better or worse, it just looks different, and I can't really decide what I want to go with. So I'm just gonna do one of each. I wish that I could solve all of my indecisiveness this way. So I just cut out all of my liner pieces. I'm gonna tape it up, and then I think I'm gonna use my sewing machine to sew it up because no one's gonna see this part. I'm about ready to start sewing my liner, but before I do that, I just wanted to do a quick workstation check-in to show you guys how messy my work area gets when I'm in the middle of a project. I have a bunch of crap on this table. I've got some leather slung over here, leather on this chair. My workstation itself is just a huge freaking mess, and there's more leather there. It's very messy. I was very nervous about sewing this because I haven't sewn in a while, but I actually think I did a good job. Yay! I just finished punching stitching holes through the liner. The reason I'm doing this is because when the liner is inside the bag, I don't want you to be able to pick it up. So I want it to be stitched down here, and it's also going to be stitched all the way around the perimeter. So now I think the next step is to hand stitch this up. Here's the stitched up bottom, the underside. That took me about 30 minutes. Now I think I'm just gonna tuck this liner away and try to pretend like it's not there, and start attaching the side pieces or the front pieces onto the bottom. Alright, both of the main sides are stitched on now. I did that by hand and it's coming together. Now I'm gonna try to figure out how to attach these side flaps. I stitched on the side inside out and then I flipped it right side out again, and I think it looks pretty good. I just don't really like how bulbous these corners look, so I think I have to flip it back and snip some leather away. I just cut away all of this leather and this is how it looks. Hopefully it looks good when I turn it back out, but I'm not going to do that yet because I still have to do this other side. Alrighty, I just finished sewing up both of the sides and snipping off all of this excess leather, so it's time for the semi-grand reveal. Semi because I'm not done yet. I still need to do the zippers, but I want to see how this looks. Okay, so I messed around with it a little bit and I think it's starting to come together. Now all I need to do, well, not all I need to do because this is the part that intimidates me the most, but I need to attach the zipper onto these top three sides while also attaching the liner to the outside of the body. So all of that's going to happen at the same time. It took a lot of massaging, but what I did was I just put one side of the zipper on and stuck it to the front and the liner. So I'm going to stitch it up first and then I'll do the other side. I just finished stitching on the zipper to half of the bag. I haven't done the other half yet, but it's almost 1 a.m. I'm literally burning the midnight oil and it's a bit too late for me to hammer in holes. I don't want to wake my neighbors up, but after I do that, I'm just going to make a little tassel for the pull and then it's done. It's the next morning and I'm ready to finish the other side. I'm going to try to do a better job when I put the stitching holes in, because when I did it on this side, I kind of missed the liner, so you can see there's like some tears. Yeah, it was kind of hard to do. This side definitely looks better than the other side so far. It still looks kind of uneven because this liner leather that I used was kind of flimsy and hard to work with, but I'm okay with it. Now it's tassel time. What I did was I grabbed a scrap and cut it up so I got these tiny frays, and then I skived down the ends. I then taped it up and rolled it all up together until I got this tassel effect. And then the last touch was to install a rivet to hold everything together. Alright, I just finished the bag. I put all of my stuff inside, everything fits. And then I did my makeup using this bag and I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's really easy to use because it opens up to be super big. I can see everything that I need. I also really like the way that it looks, the way that it feels. I think it's a good size. Overall, just a really big upgrade from my previous bag. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one.